I recently shared a video all about decluttering tips, and while it might seem straightforward and easy for some people to part ways with their stuff, for others, it's not so simple. And I totally get it. There's a lot of emotional backstory that goes behind decluttering, and we didn't fit that stuff into the video, but I did have some tips and tricks and advice that I wanted to share with you about decluttering when it came to dealing with the more emotional side of things. Because we live in our space, we often walk through it and we have kind of blinders on. We see past things that other people who come into our home might notice. We just don't even pay attention to it anymore. For example, I go into my bathroom and there are bottles of things that I don't use, but they're kind of just like, I don't know, they live in my bathroom. Why am I even gonna look at them? But they're taking up space and they're useless. So when you go into a space, the idea is to go with a fresh set of eyes, an outsider pair of eyes. That way you can look at each item critically, and if you have something that's been in your bathroom or your space since 2009 and you're not using it, you can safely part ways with it. When you're going through the decluttering process and you're struggling with a particular item, ask yourself if you are indeed the best user for that item. If you are, then of course it makes sense for you to keep it, but if you're not, there's someone else who can probably receive a higher utility from that item than you can. For example, I was just going through all of my makeup collection and I saw a bunch of items that I use sometimes, but I kind of prefer other items to that. So I put those all in a basket and I brought them over for my nieces who went crazy for the makeup. So remember, there's always someone out there who can use an item more than you can if you're not the highest and best user of that particular item. As humans, one of the deepest challenges that we deal with is guilt. And as if we don't have enough guilt already, when it comes to decluttering, there's this new layer of like thick, greasy guilt that we have to get through. And that is if somebody gave you something like, for example, a birthday card, or if your mom gave you something and you don't really like it, but you're keeping it just because, you're hanging on to that item strictly because you feel guilty. Now the truth is, anybody who gives you something, they want the best for you. They probably like you or maybe love you, and they really want you to be happy, like genuinely happy. And if you're holding on to something because you feel guilty about getting rid of it, your emotions are not in the right place. So you can feel 100% clean and clear about getting rid of something that doesn't suit you. An object does not dictate your relationship status with a person. Here's an easy rule for you to remember, ABD, always be decluttering. Whenever you're in a space, challenge yourself to find something that you don't need anymore. For example, I was recently in my kitchen looking for, I think it was the hand mixer, and I came across the juicer. It's this old school Jack-O-Land juicer. Chad and I used it for a while, then we put it onto the Lazy Susan, and I swear to you, every time I go into that Lazy Susan, I have to like reach over the damn juicer and whatever. It takes up space and I don't use it. So I took that juicer out, I put it in my donation pile. Every single time I'm in a space, I am always thinking, ABD, always be decluttering. If I can get rid of something and move on from it, I'm certainly gonna do it. Challenge yourself to do the same. One of the hardest things about decluttering is getting started because it can feel so overwhelming, especially if you're in a space that hasn't been decluttered in a while and you feel that the task is just too daunting to even start. The point is, if you can start even with one item and use some of the tips that we've talked about here, as well as in the other video, it will really help you start to part ways with stuff that no longer suits you or your space. Let me know in the comments down below, how difficult is it for you to declutter? Is it an emotional challenge, or is it something that you can just do, not think twice about, and move on? It's very helpful for me to see your motivation and encouragement in the comments, and I know it helps a lot of other people too, so keep them up. If you want to see what I'm up to during the rest of the week, whether I'm at the office, going out with Chad, or doing something with the cats, or going on a walk, you can follow me on Instagram and Snapchat. I am at Melissa Maker, the guy who's sitting behind the camera smiling and thinking, God, what do I have to declutter? He is at the Chad Reynolds, and we are at Clean My Space. There's a button down there that lets me know you care, so click it if you liked this video, and click this button right here to subscribe and begin your journey to a cleaner life. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.